First Sunday to be with us, and we're glad that you're here. One important thing at the Commonplace is we don't want anyone to be overlooked, and so we've given out every week, we give to you a connection card. If you don't need that, you can just leave it on your seat and we'll pick it up later. But it's a great way to jot down a prayer request that our team will pray for. If you'd like to get coffee with a church leader or a pastor, you can make that a notation. If you're a visitor, you can fill that out, and all of those can be dropped in the basket by the door on the way out. And so we just want to make sure that you feel welcome. This is the last week that you can participate in our food drive for the Haven Cupboard, and there's a list of items that you can contribute to that in your bulletin. After church today, the college ministry is going to have a meet and greet with student leaders upstairs, followed by a game afternoon, because it's not night yet. So all college students are encouraged to attend that as well. Speaking of students, every Thursday evening, all of our students and college-aged young adults are invited to the Kate Jackson's house. And if you need information or you need a ride, contact Tim and Kate. Their information is in the bulletin as well. The college students are going to the Chaos Fun Zone. This is a great time to be alive as a college student. You're getting food in the food Haven Cupboard. You're going to Chaos Fun Zone for laser tag and a trampoline park. That sounds like fun. All right. You know, college age is really non-descriptive. So I feel as though anyone could go to Chaos. Anyhow, our night of prayer, once a month we gather as a church community in the back room and we listen to what Jesus is saying and we worship him, and so you are invited to come be a part of that at 6 o'clock on Wednesday evening. There's no brunch next week because today is a meal after our meeting here today, and the women of the Commonplace are invited to join for the IF Gathering 2020 here at the coffee shop. This is live streamed national conference that we're participating in, and more details can be found in your bulletin. I believe we did this last year, and so hopefully we have a good turnout this year as well. If you'd like to give to the Commonplace, you can do that online or in the you can do it in the offering box over there. I mentioned that today is a special Sunday. Once a year, we pause our normal kind of Sunday gatherings, which are typically at 9:30 and 11, and we hold one family meeting, and where we reflect on the last year. We hear from different ministry leaders in our church to describe what's gone on and what their dreams are, what God's been putting on their heart for the future. We also elect new leaders of the Commonplace, or sometimes re-elect former leaders, and it's a sweet time together as well. Many churches do their annual meeting in the evening or another time of the week, but there's two reasons I do it in the morning. One is that I can make sure I get a quorum. And the other reason is because I think it's not just business. This is a celebration of what Jesus is doing among us, and that is worth stopping and paying attention to. And I've observed, if I don't make a point of it, I will not reflect on my life and the past year. And so as a church family, at the beginning of the new year, every January, we stop and we think and we reflect and we praise Jesus for what he's done here as well. There is so I'm going to call this meeting to order. We need to have a quorum of our 46 active members. That's 15.3 members. All right, so if you've taken the membership class or transferred your membership here, could you just raise your hand so I can get a count here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. 27, all right. That's the number to beat. All right, so when we do elections, figure out what 70% of 27 is. All right, there you go. So, this is now in session. I wish I had a gavel. That would really, no I don't. That would really defeat the purpose here. So if you want to become a member, we're about to start a new family membership class. You can hear about our family values, about the future of the church, the history of our church, what we believe and love about Jesus and what it means to be a follower. And that's going to happen in February. What's the date that starts, Chad?
February 9th.
February 9th. So, 2 weeks from today. It'll take place during the second service in the back room. And so if you'd like to sign up for that, please do that. There's a sign-up sheet that you can jot your name down on as well. All right, so again, We welcome everyone, whether or not you are an official member on the register, you are a part of God's family, you trust Him as your Savior, and we are so glad that you are here today. I'm going to start with my report, give you some highlights. This past year, some things to celebrate. We dedicated Lydia Alexander and Adeline Pearson. We baptized Jesse Long. A number of our youth group students, in fact, you want to switch to the PowerPoint for my report? Yes. That'd be great. There it is, pastor's report. I don't want to steal Luke's thunder, but I know that a number of our students made decisions to follow Jesus with their lives at a youth conference this past year. It was a beautiful time. Let's throw up the attendance trends here. So this is a little chart of how many people come to the Commonplace. We've tracked this since we started in 2000. We restarted in 2009. Back then we had about 30 people, and this year we had about 130 people. So we're thankful for that. You'll notice that for one of the first years in a long time, there was actually a little dip in the attendance. And you might ask yourself, how could that be? You look around every Sunday, and the place is packed. Children's ministry has grown. Attendance at the first service has increased. The primary reason for this is the conclusion of our third service that we wrapped up last year. Because there just wasn't enough people, enough critical mass to make that happen. In fact, to be honest, sometimes there were probably close to 10 people who came to that service, who went to earlier services, just to make it go on and to run it. We will be happy to re-engage that service, but we would like to see a dedicated core group of about 20 or 30 people who are willing to commit. I will make that my time to come to the Commonplace. We would need a worship team to help lead at that service, greeters, all the things that go to making a good worship experience would need to come together. So if that's something that's on your heart and you'd like to be a part of that, please let me know. But that would probably be one of the primary reasons why the attendance dipped down. There is a lower attendance of our college students than in previous years, and part of that, I'm sure, is just due to overall decrease in enrollment at Lock Haven University as well. So I'm not distressed by that. God has done many beautiful things, and we've seen growth in many other areas of our church as we go along as well. December marked the 1-year anniversary of Chad serving as our ministry coordinator at the Commonplace. You know, I don't know if you remember, but 2 years ago, you can clap for him. There you go. Hey! Sam was our associate pastor for college ministry, and he left about 2 years ago. And there was a gap between when we had any help, and what that period of time caused us to do was to reevaluate where the ministry gaps were in the church, and we created a job description, and Chad graciously stepped into that role and has done a wonderful job. He and I worked well together, we're gifted differently, and it's always a good time. He's been instrumental in revising our procedures in visitor assimilation. Doesn't that sound exciting, right? And overhauling our membership class. And he also provides a level of pastoral care that's much beyond what we hired him to do. And so I'm very grateful to have him as a teammate. We work well together. There's going to be some changes in the future regarding his role in the Commonplace that I'm sure he'll want to share with you as well. So, as a church community this past year, we held 2 Love on a Bun events as a church body collectively in 2 city parks to get to know our neighborhood. Our college ministry also held Love on a Bun events where we just give out free hot dogs to people. If they want prayer, we pray with them. If they want to just get to know us and our church better, we're happy to do that as well. This past year, we also hired Tim and Kate Jackson as interim college ministers. We've always had a wonderful partnership with Tim and Kate. As they have served for many years, or how many years have you guys been with CSF? 3.5. And our ministry and CSF, Christian Student Fellowship, have been close partners. And during this season, when we were without a full-time college minister here, Tim and Kate stepped up and are kind of serving a dual role until Joe and Holly, who we have hired to replace Sam and Kayla, will start in the month of June. Some of you have gotten to know those two, Joe and Holly, over the last years. They've come to some important events at the at the church. So Tim and Kate, though, have helped bring equilibrium to our ministry, and I'm so grateful to have them at the helm as we navigate this transition season. I also, as a pastor, want to encourage you, all as a body, to love our students well, to go to the Chaos Fun Zone with them, to invite them over for dinner, to just integrate them into the life of the church. What I never want to see happen is college ministry and commonplace ministry kind of separate into two different things. I always want us to be intergenerational and connected together as a family. And so let's work on that together. A major milestone or a major thing that we worked through this last year was a process called Healing the Heart of Your Church. And in 2019, in the early part, we sensed that Jesus was asking our church to take responsibility for our history. We had kind of observed ourselves or thought of ourselves as a church plant that started in 2009. But the reality was that I pastored the Lock Haven Alliance Church for a couple of years prior to that, and we had closed that church and then restarted it. And so as a church body, we began to investigate our church history, to learn about the good, the bad, the places that we have honored the Lord and places where he was dishonored, and we took ownership for our story. It involved us repenting of some things as a church body. We listened well to what Jesus was saying to our church, and we sensed that he was calling us to reach the overlooked in our community. And we've had trouble defining I don't want to call it the demographic, but the best word to describe what Jesus put on our hearts. Sometimes we would call it the marginalized, sometimes we called it there are a number of ways we tried to describe who it was we sensed Jesus wanted us to go to. And it was a few months ago at a meeting about church planting that someone used the word, our church planting director, the overlooked. And we recognized in that moment that's the perfect word. The overlooked can be anyone. It could be someone who is elderly, who is just not being seen and they're lonely. It could be a college student suffering with severe anxiety and depression who just stays in their dorm all the time and they're overlooked. It could be the poor. It could be any number of things. And so Jesus has given us in this new season a heart for the overlooked. And I hope to use that terminology moving forward better. So those were some of the highlights of this last year. We worked through these things as a church. We paused, we caught our breath, we reoriented ourselves, and I think it was an important season for us. Moving into the future, you're going to hear about the future from several different ministry areas, but I'll just kind of give you some overview ideas. One of the largest initiatives that I'm about to take our church on, beginning in February, is a 6 to 8 month long strategic planning endeavor. For some of you, your eyes glaze over as soon as I said the word strategic planning, right? Post-it notes and whiteboards, you just almost went comatose on me. Others were already booting up Excel spreadsheets on your laptops because you're just excited about it. But what I've realized is that, and this was specifically brought out in our questionnaire around church planting, is that if we're going to walk into the future as our church grows and multiplies, we need to have some sense of organizational clarity and some clear objectives as to what Jesus is calling us to do and how do we make that happen. We kind of feel like he put some ideas out there, but how do we organize ourselves around those ideas in a clear way? And so there's going to be 7 or 8 of us who have agreed to be a part of this endeavor. It will spread out at moments. Others will need to be involved in this. But we're going to do things like revisit our vision and mission, clarify our values. We're going to do some demographic research on our community. One of the things I'm excited about is we're going to curate a list of ministries that are available by other churches and nonprofits in our communities. Why should we go restart something or try to do something that another church is doing well or just needs some help? Maybe Jesus is calling us to partner with another church. It's not about the commonplace, it's about God's kingdom, right? And so these are all things that are going to be pulling together over the next 6 to 8 months. We'll be keeping you in the loop about them throughout that time. And then in around July or August, we will present that to you. We'll probably have another meeting similar to this on a Sunday when we kind of share, here's where we sense that we're going to go into the future. And so that's going to be a fun part. Church planting will be a part of that, but we're going to talk about that at the end of today's. I know many of you have asked me about this, and we've told you we're going to give some clarity around that idea today. So hang in there. So again, if I could describe a couple of words that come to my mind for this new season of the Commonplace, it is alignment and focus, all right? We're going to welcome a new staff person in June, a couple. Chad is going to be working on his licensing requirements with the Christian and Missionary Alliance, so you can all calling him Reverend. No, I'm sure he will not like that. Don't you dare. And so this is going to be a good season to kind of organize ourselves around what's next. And the Bible says that there's a couple of proverbs that stand out to me. One is the horse is made ready for the day of battle. Like you get your stuff in order, but victory rests with God. So these are not at odds. We trust God for our future. We also want to do our best planning. And there's another proverb that talks about how foolish it is to try to, you don't build a tower unless you first sit down and calculate the cost and evaluate whether or not you can pull this off. And so there's this marriage in the Christian life of wisdom and faith and risk, and that's what we're going to try to pull together in this season as well. So that's kind of the conclusion of my report here. I want to briefly pull us into something very exciting, which is our bylaw proposals. Yeah. So in our church, we have a constitution and we have bylaws which explain how we live out those constitutional values. And every 2 years we sit down and we evaluate them. I have two proposals to bring to you today, but in reviewing our bylaws, our team, I discovered that we can't actually vote on these today. We have to provide 3 weeks for you between when we present them and when we actually enact them, because bylaws are meant to be hard to change, all right? They're not policies. These are important documents in our church. And so I'm telling you right now that on February 16th, at the first service, I'm going to call a short membership meeting just to vote on these 2 items. So if you want to be a part of that, please come. I need at least 17.6 members or whatever it was to come to that meeting. But they're very, let me explain these to you. The first one has to do with our name. Can you go back to the first one? So since we restarted our church in 2009, our bylaws stated the official name under which this church is incorporated or organized is the Lock Haven Church of the Christian and Missionary Alliance. We then had a bylaw that said, for advertising purposes, this church shall be known as the Commonplace. The reason for that was our district leadership at the time, we were a fresh church plant, we were new, and I think that they were a little bit like, I don't know, like, the best way I could describe it is, I don't think they liked our name, and they were kind of like, I don't know if this is going to stick, so let's just name it something generic, and that way you can change your bylaws later on. What this has caused, though, is a lot of headache whenever we go to do anything legally. Like you try to open a bank account or you try to make changes, because the government doesn't call us the Commonplace. The government calls us Lock Haven Church of the Christian and Missionary Alliance. But everybody else knows us as the Commonplace. And so for clarity's purpose and alignment and focus, we think at 10 years, almost 11 years in, it's time to call ourselves what we actually call ourselves, which is the Commonplace. So we're amending this to say, to strike the bylaw, to say the official name under which this church is incorporated or organized is the Commonplace Church of the Christian and Missionary Alliance. Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah. Do we have any questions about that? Luke's giving me the thumbs up. Part 2 is we have a section in here about bylaws for qualification of elders. We pulled these from the Bible. But under the qualification, it talks about the walk that an elder needs to have in the way that he follows Jesus. Responsibilities of elders, then, we realized were rather repetitive. For instance, this one said, responsibilities of the elders shall be willing to serve as, the highlight is the new text proposed, shall be willing to serve as requested by the chairman or the pastor. And then we had another bylaw that said, shall fulfill all assignments given by the board or chairman or pastor, promptly and fully. And so we thought it would be easy to clean this up, strike that, and just add a clarifying line there. Shall be willing to serve and fulfill all assignments promptly and fully as requested. That would then reorder all the other numbers beneath that. Does that make sense? Just simple stuff. All right, very good. So we can't vote on it today. You know what they are, and on February 16th we will vote to make those official. So, There you go, bylaw proposals. At this point, I'm going to ask Chad to come up, and he's going to walk us through his ministry area right now at our church is around adult ministry, and he can explain what that means, and take it from here, Chad.
He's right, Tony. Glad you're in the front row. All right, good morning, Commonplace. My name is Chad Long, and as Josh said, I am the ministry coordinator here for the Commonplace, and I have two primary roles dealing with assimilation, which is a fancy word that means helping our visitors belong and stick around. And then discipleship is another one of my focuses. And some of the things that we've been able to accomplish over the last year is to improve our welcome process for all of our visitors. If you are new here, you would have received a welcome packet when you came in the door. If you didn't, let us know. We'll get you one of those. It's really important for us to make sure that everyone who walks through that door, whether they are new, this is their first time, or this is their millionth time and they've been here for 11 years, we want everyone to feel like they belong. And so we've worked really hard at trying to accomplish that in multiple ways. The welcome packet that we talked about, instituting a value for value system with the visitor card, the connection card. If you're willing to trust us with your information, we want to say we realize that's a risk on your part and we value that, and so we want to give you something in return for that. And we started handing out our t-shirts to promote not the commonplace but access to Jesus through the commonplace. And we're glad that many of you have decided to stick around and continue to come back week after week. Another avenue we've done this is giving an avenue of feedback through the First Impressions survey. And a lot of us, I'm sure in this digital age, when we see a survey, we're like, not another survey. I don't want to do that. But you have to understand and know that one of the key ways that we hear from you with your honest and anonymous opinions and perspectives is to take 5 minutes to fill that out. And so that's one way that we've tried to gain feedback and change the how and what that we do when it comes to welcoming our new people. We've also expanded our connection team and are in the process of training new people to be a part of this. For many years, Sarah and Natasha have been doing that kind of solo, and so we've brought on, I believe, 6 new people to help with that process. And so you're going to be seeing different faces at the door, and so I'm excited about that. We've also retooled our follow-up process a little bit, improved the way that we manage our database and connect with you after you submit a connection card. We've hosted multiple pizza with the pastors. And one of the cool things that I like about this, if you choose to attend that, we do that like every other month or so, it gives you the opportunity in a relaxed atmosphere to meet leadership, to discuss whatever you want with them. You can ask the hard questions if you want, or you can keep it surface level, but it's really important to provide that opportunity so that it's not just the 1 hour segment here, but you can connect with our leaders in a very relaxed atmosphere. Done a little bit of revising our membership to streamline it a little bit, our membership process, and spent a lot of time updating and revising our church website because it is our digital front door. I don't know how many of you have seen our website, but before you visit a new church, almost everybody sees what is the web presence, whether it's on social or it's the website itself. And so spent a lot of time doing that this year as well. I also welcome your feedback. If there's something that's not there that you think would really be helpful, come talk to me about it. We're all about making this process better. A second responsibility of mine is discipleship. It's a key area of focus. And one of the ways that we've done this is providing more opportunity and materials for our triads. If you don't know what a triad is, that is our discipleship vehicle here at the Commonplace. It is 3 people meeting regularly on a mutual journey towards Christ. And this is what we do. This is how we grow up in faith here at the Commonplace. And it provides accountability and discipleship, and it really forms deep relationships. If you've noticed at any point during our service today, Andy and I goofing off over there. I didn't know Andy a year ago, and now we're really close friends because we're in a triad together. At least I would say that. He may not say that. But I'm going to talk for us. So I have the microphone. And those triads really develop strong relationships. So if you're itching for stronger connection and to grow up in your faith, seek out that discipling relationship through a triad. If you need help, come see me. I would be happy to get you plugged in. If you're not in a triad, you are missing out. We've had multiple workshops to help our triad members and leaders kind of understand what the integral parts of a good triad are. And we've also provided multiple opportunities of other teaching. We had our Bible 101 class this last year, and we'll be working on that again. And a third part that comes up sporadically in my role is benevolence. And benevolence is a uncommon word that means something common. We help people in need. And so one of my roles is to facilitate that for the Commonplace on your behalf, whether it is a physical need, financial need, emotional need, those different things. And I have the privilege to let you know that representing this church and Jesus and what he wants for us in this community, we've been able to provide various means of counseling. We've been able to provide laundry money, gas money, groceries, furniture, pay someone's rent. We've been able to put a roof back on someone's house that blew off in a storm. We've been able to help people move, and many other smaller opportunities. And so I get the chance to do that on a regular basis. And so it's been a really good year for the Commonplace, and it's been exciting, and it's a privilege of mine to be here and to be a part of it. Thank you very much.
All right, so my name is Derek Knipe, and I'm facilities coordinator here at Commonplace, and that means I take care of the building and the structure here. So Josh asked Chad and I both to speak 5 minutes. I think Chad was about 8, so I'm going to do it for 2 just to balance everything out. But overall, the building and structure here is in pretty good shape. 2019, we did have a couple big things that we did. I'll highlight those. One, in the summertime, the AC compressor went out for the coffee shop here. So we were able to put that in. We had some good help volunteer, donated their time to do that. So we got that replaced. We also had to install the coffee roaster. So that's been a big boost. But there were some things ahead of time in order to get that stuff ready. So we did that. We installed that coffee roaster, and that's been awesome. And we also had to repair the heat pump, or the mini split, the ductless mini split for the back room. And looking forward to 2020, we have to repair that again. So a couple unplanned things there, but hopefully we can stay in our budget this year. But also the outside, the brick work on the outside needs repointed. It's kind of a big project. I've talked to some people about doing that, and I think we're going to try to tackle that a little bit ourselves. We just need to repair it a little bit. There's some places where the mortar's actually missing in some of the bricks. So if anybody knows how to repoint brick, we're going to try to tackle that. I don't, but we'll find out if we do, how good of a job we can do. So, but yeah, overall the building and structure here is in pretty good shape, and yeah. So if you have anything that comes up, anything that you're willing to do, willing to help out and share, contact me and let me know.
Hello everybody, my name is Josh and I am your treasurer. If at any point it looks like I'm dying of tears, because I am, so don't be alarmed. Alright, so I'm here to talk to you about the financial stuff because that's what everybody loves to be told about on Sundays. So yeah, financial snapshot for both the end of the year as well as looking into the future. So you can go ahead to the next slide, Ian. Alright, so December, as you can see, was an awesome month. And I didn't get a chance to talk about it last month because of holidays and things, but November was a really good month too. So much so that we actually made our goal. That was the first time that happened the whole year, so yeah. Applause for Tim in particular, because since he gave his giving presentation, things just dramatically got better, so. Yeah, and then here is the Great Commission Fund. So this, for those of you that don't know what that is, that's just our fund to send missionaries out to spread the word of Jesus. So last month, 555, roughly, I rounded a little bit just to make it look pretty. So that was how much we gave. And then as far as the whole year, we were just short of 2018, but even despite being short, we still, there's over $4,000 to that, so that's awesome too. So thank you for your giving there. So, how did we really do? So, as we've had those months that were really, really bad, I always come up and said, hey, it's not as bad as it looks, and now I'm going to explain to you why that is. So, between all of our budgetary things and everything, like it's not a really good reflection as I give this to how the church is actually doing. So by the end of the year, how much profit we actually made was $6,400, which is really, really good because as our budget is designed, we're meant to break even. Like our goal is to have $0 here just because we're spending money, but we came in, this is either from us getting more offering than we planned on or coming under budget and things. So yeah, we ended up with over $6,000 of net profit despite having months that were really rough. So that's super cool too. So yeah, 2019 wasn't too bad. So cool things from 2019, these two things came to mind in particular. As Chad just talked to you about the Benevolence Fund, we were helping people so much that we felt the need to increase the Benevolence Fund partway through the year by a dramatic amount. So yeah, Benevolence Fund, we added a lot more to that budget so we can keep helping people case by case. And then Kids Ministry. So they by themselves, the Kids Ministry upstairs, raised $120 of their own kind of change in things for Envision Atlanta, which is a ministry thing outside of Atlanta, obviously. So yeah, we're kind of instilling values in our kids too about giving generously just for Jesus' kingdom. So that's awesome. And aside from that, 2019 was also the first year we had, like the first full year we had a functioning youth group, so that was a new thing to the budget too. So yeah, we're expanding different ministries, and that costs money obviously, but we've also been providing for those. So that's super cool. So as we approach the new year, we're going to see some budget changes. As you can see, we're going from $117,000 to $134,000 in 2020. So a little bit of a jump, but I'll get into that in a second. So month by month, this last month, our goal was $9,773. That'll a little bit of a jump up to $11,000, a little bit over, just because as I'll get into the next slide, go ahead again. Why? Why is the budget going up? Lots of reasons. So Pregnancy Resource Clinic, we're going to start every month. We have money that we were giving specifically to them. I think it's $100 or so. So we're going to be supporting that effort. We just bought a safe. So up until now, we've been kind of functioning off this really honor system sort of thing. Like, we're going to keep this in a drawer. It's not going to be locked. Just don't steal. And to kudos to you, nothing was ever stolen to my knowledge. So personally, I didn't think it was a broken system, but I guess we chose to fix it anyways. So yeah, we have a safe now. That's really cool. We also just bought a camcorder. That was really fun and expensive, but we're going to be doing something. We're going to be using that to film services and stuff, so that's something kind of Chad has been pioneering a little bit, so that's a really exciting thing for the future. And then as Derek just mentioned, there's lots of things that need to be fixed for the shop, and fixing up buildings is really expensive, so we had to kind of adjust our budget accordingly, but that's okay. We'll get it done. So yeah, thank you for your generous giving. Let's make 2020 a good year also.
Put that in the budget, we need a new microphone. I'll just use this one. All right, so at this point, we're just gonna pause and do our elections. Let me explain what's going on here. So if you could throw the next slide up there. Here are the nominations. We have a team of people every year that meets that are the nominating committee. And we then prayerfully discern who Jesus might be asking to fill different positions and ministries at the church. Here's what we have this year. In the role of elder is Chad Long. The role of treasurer is Nadine Gorham. Hopefully Nadine will be able to make the numbers look as pretty as Josh did. And assistant treasurer is Laura Sproat. She has served in that role last year. Secretary is Carissa Pearson, who has also served as our church secretary for many years and is taking notes right now. A member at large is a representative from the church who just kind of offers a unique perspective, who doesn't necessarily represent a specific ministry area, and that is going to be Jody Russell. And then we also elect two people for the nominating committee of this coming year.